How's it going, peeps? It is now time for the Raw results / highlights and review video. I'll go over the Raw results and some of the highlights and give you guys my thoughts on the overall show. So it all kicks off with Paul Heyman coming out for his huge announcement that he announced, or not announced, but teased on Touts. Anyways, pretty much he says that he wants to resign because he feels he's now a distraction to CM Punk. And CM Punk needs to focus on his championship match this Sunday against The Rock, so he feels he needs to resign, so he's no longer a distraction to CM Punk, so yeah, he can focus on the match. But CM Punk then comes out and convinces him to stay, telling him he's not a distraction and such, and that he's going to win the championship this Sunday. Paul Heyman's going to be in this corner and celebrate with him once he wins that championship. After that, Khali's dancing in the ring with Hornswoggle and Natalya. Mark Henry then comes out for a match against the great Khali, and Mark Henry wins in a pretty quick matchup with the world's strongest slam. After the match, Hornswoggle and Natalya are checking up on the great Khali, and then Mark Henry decides to come back, and he hits the world's strongest slam on Hornswoggle as well, and the crowd actually chants one more time, one more time. Mark Henry's freaking awesome. And then backstage, you have a segment where Booker T and Teddy Long are talking. Chris Jericho comes up to them, and pretty much he wants to be in the Elimination Chamber, says he's a former, world champion, and that they should definitely put him in. And Booker T says it's not that easy, and that, he has to prove himself. Everybody in the chamber so far has had to prove themselves. So, Teddy Long suggests an idea to Booker T. Booker T says that idea sucks, and then he tells Jericho, if you can beat your opponent tonight, you're going to be entered in the chamber. And then he tells Jericho his opponent is going to be Daniel Bryan. Chris Jericho says Daniel Bryan is a good opponent, he's great, talks about his beard, and then he says, after he wins the chamber, he's going to be a seven times, I don't want to say seven times, but pretty much he copies Booker T, but says 7 times instead, and then he leaves, and Booker T's like, tells Teddy Long to tell me he didn't just say that. And then you've got Vicky Guerrero backstage with Paul Heyman coming up to her, and he wants to add a stipulation to the WWE Championship match. She says, she can't do that. Vince McMahon, he's not there. And then somebody calls Vicky's phone. It ends up being Vince McMahon. And then she puts him on speaker, and Paul Heyman suggests the idea to add a stipulation where if The Rock gets disqualified or counted out, then CM Punk is the new WWE Champion. And Vince McMahon actually grants it. And then Paul Heyman goes on to talk and says, Vince McMahon, you're kind of like a father figure to me. And then Vince McMahon just hangs up. After that, they show a video package or a promo of Fandango. And then we have the Daniel Bryan versus Chris Jericho match. It was a great match. You had Jericho locking on the walls of Jericho, Daniel Bryan countering that into the no-lock. And then towards the end, Jericho went for a roll-up on Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan kicked out. Right after he kicked out, he charges at Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho hits the code breaker, goes for the cover, and wins the matchup, so he's entered into the Elimination Chamber. And then it was John Cena, Ryback, and Sheamus versus 3MB in a 6-man tag team match. Pretty quick match. The team of John Cena wins, obviously. John Cena hits the AA, while Sheamus hit the white noise on... Well, Cena hit the AA on Jinder Mahal, Ryback hit the shell shock on either Heath or Drew, and Sheamus hit the white noise on the other guy. So they all hit their finishers at the same time. Cena goes for the cover and wins the match for his team. And then they all cut a short promo on how they're going to beat the Shield this Sunday. And then backstage, Alex Riley and Yoshi Tatsu are making fun of the Big Show and how Del Rio, poured the paint all over him on SmackDown. And then just Big Show comes up to them and knocks out both Yoshi Tatsu and Alex Riley. Big Show then comes out to the ring where Matt Striker is, and he's about to ask him a question, but Big Show knocks him out too, hits a WMD on Matt Striker, grabs the microphone, and he stalls for a long while, doesn't say anything, and then he ends up just dropping the microphone and leaving. So, yeah. Anyways, after that, they have Jack Swagger versus Zack Ryder, and Jack Swagger comes out with this guy called Zeb Culter or something like that. And Jack Swagger wins the matchup with the ankle lock. After the match, they cut a promo on people, on them being real Americans and people going into America. And actually, the promo is cut by the Zeb Culter guy. he talks about how nowadays, people he talks to on the street, he can't even understand them. They're not real Americans or something like that. Blah, blah, blah. After that, you have Booker T backstage with Teddy Long. And I believe he announces that Jack Swagger is in the Elimination Chamber after watching the match he had with Zack Ryder. And then comes Dolph Ziggler, AJ, and Big E. Dolph Ziggler says, pretty much he says that if Jericho is going to be in the Elimination Chamber match, he wants in too. Booker T's like, you took yourself out of the Chamber match because you said you already have a shot. But he gives Ziggler a chance and tells Ziggler if he can beat his opponent tonight, then he's entered into the Elimination Chamber, and his opponent is Kane. And then you have The Miz versus Cody Rhodes in a one-on-one matchup with Antonio Cesaro on commentary. When they're outside, when The Miz and Cody are outside during the match, Antonio Cesaro tries to interfere, but The Miz hits him with a big boot, and then he puts Cody Rhodes back in the ring, but then Antonio Cesaro shoves The Miz on the steel post, and then he grabs him by the legs and pretty much catapults him, or swings him onto the barricade a bunch of times, like 3-4 times or whatever, and he then walks away with a championship. And then they had Primo and Epico versus Brodus Clay and Tensai. Really quick matchup. Tensai wins with the senton. And after the match, he dances with Brodus Clay and Naomi and Cameron. And actually, Rosa gets mad, gets in the ring, and Naomi throws her out. And then, I believe, Cameron hits her with a missile drop kick. Well, actually, it was a baseball slide. And that's pretty much it for that segment. And then the Shield come out for a promo. They cut a little promo. They all talk on the microphone. Mostly Dean Ambrose, though. And they call out John Cena, Ryback, and Sheamus. Ryback, Sheamus, John Cena don't come out the first time around. But then, towards the end, the lights turn off. And then when they come back on, you see Ryback, Sheamus, and John Cena fighting with the Shields. And they chase him off, basically. Afterwards, Damien Sandow comes out talking about the Grammy Awards. And then Del Rio comes out for a match against Damien Sandow. Very quick matchup. Damien Sandow, right off the bat, hit a couple knees, hit the Russian leg sweep he usually hits, and then the elbow of disdain. But then Del Rio got the advantage, hit the super kick, and also locked on the cross arm breaker, which made Damien Sandow tap out right away. After the matchup, Del Rio says early on in the night, Big Show cut the best promo ever, or his best promo, Big Show's best promo. And he says he agrees with the Big Show that the time for talk is over, and that he's going to go to WrestleMania, and that is pretty much it. Then we see Barrett backstage walking towards the ring for a matchup, but Bo Dallas attacks him. So then Kofi Kingston comes out for the match, followed by Wade Barrett. Towards the end of the matchup, Wade Barrett gets out of the ring when Kofi Kingston went for Trouble in Paradise. Kofi Kingston tries to follow Wade Barrett by sliding under the ring, but Wade Barrett puts the ring apron over Kofi Kingston's head and hits a bullhammer on Kofi Kingston. He then gets back in the ring, covers Kofi Kingston, and gets the victory. And then the following match was Dolph Ziggler versus Kane. Towards the end, Kane was going to go for the flying chokeslam, top rope chokeslam, but AJ was distracting him, and because of that distraction, when he went for it, Dolph Ziggler got time to get out of the way, but then he accidentally bumped into AJ, who was on the apron, so he got distracted with that. So he was, looking towards AJ, but then he turns around, Kane hits him with a chokeslam, covers him, and gets the victory. So Kane is the last entrant in the Elimination Chamber. And then to cap it off, The Rock comes out for a segment, and he talks about a story. They're in Nashville, for tonight's show. Talks about a story back in Nashville when he was 15 years old, about how he was in high school, and buying a car from a crackhead in a bar, and then realizing the car is stolen. And it was a pretty funny story. And once he finishes the story, CM Punk's music hits. He comes out with Paul Heyman on the stage. The Rock makes fun of CM Punk and Paul Heyman on them reenacting a scene from Twilight earlier on in the night when they hugged in the opening segment. And then he tells CM Punk he's gonna kick his punk ass at the Elimination Chamber, and if he walks down that ramp, he's gonna kick his ass in Nashville. So CM Punk walks down the ramp, and then it looks like he's gonna, back out like, the usual heel tactic. But instead, he actually runs into the ring, fights with The Rock. The Rock hits a spine buster, and he's about to hit the people's elbow, but Paul Heyman grabs The Rock's leg, pulls him down, and then that allows CM Punk to get up, hit the GTS on The Rock. CM Punk then grabs the championship, leaves with it, and then on the stage gets on the microphone and says, whenever you want to bring it, CM Punk is going to take it because it belongs to him, and, he's talking about the championship. So as far as tonight's show, what I thought about the show, I'd give it maybe a 6.5, no more than that. I really enjoyed the match between Daniel Bryan and Chris Jericho, but like most of the other matches were pretty much squash matches, or they were just really, really quick. So yeah, and I'm pretty disappointed that Christian is not in the Elimination Chamber, and also disappointed that the 6-man tag team match, it looks like it's gonna be just a normal 6-man tag team match and not inside the Elimination Chamber. I thought, with this being the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, I thought this would be a perfect chance to, in this situation, introduce and do it for the first time, a 6-man tag team match inside the Elimination Chamber. But looks like it's not going to happen, at least not this year. So, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, as always, you can click that like button. I'd really appreciate it. And with that said, I'm out, guys. See ya.